know Brett Hull, Courtnall, Campbell, Cujo, Jenny Oates, Brown, Chase, Fuhr, Zombo, Cecil, Butcher, Shanny, Tilly, Tuttle, Sutter, Twister, Turcotte, Kimball, Turgeon, Barron, Basson, Pronger, Pearson, Bergevin, Bozon, Al McInnes, Crab, Chuck, Howard, Chuck, Petrovicki, Pellerin, Dimitra, Yate, Corson, Conrad, Gretzky. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Heartbreak's all I knew, man. That team from old St. Lou, man. Got a cup year 52, man. Give me a Let's Go Blue.
Get on your feet. Here's your starting lineup for Toasted STL. Tom Franklin, the man called Wags, and Blues Fan Reacts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the emergency broadcast of the Toasted St. Louis Blues podcast, show, whatever you want to call us. I'm Tom Franklin, joined by my buddy, Blues Fan Reacts, Mason, for this afternoon. Wags is unfortunately not going to join us for this show. He is still day-to-day. Kidney stones are no picnic. So this is also, we are also streaming on the Toasted Tavern Facebook account, because this will effectively be our Toasted Tavern episode. So and the reason we are broadcasting at 6:00 on a Wednesday, which, if you've been with us since the Blue Notes days, knows is way off format for us. That's because, okay, let me give you like the timeline here. So we did our first show on Sunday. Check it out. It's just you should be able to find it pretty easily, whether you're watching us or you are listening to the podcast. And we said we would come back later and do the expansion list, because we had made all of our expansion lists for the upcoming expansion draft, which is 1 week from today, by the way. It's coming. It is coming quick. All of this is coming super fast. Everything off season, exactly what Mason just did. And so we were going to record tonight and then do that episode on Friday night in lieu of Toasted Tavern. Well, kidney stones are a bitch, and yes. Wax came to us and said, "Hey, I can't do the show tonight again. Health comes first, so obviously, he is taking care of himself right now." So, and then, right at 5:00, right at the stroke of 5, Jeremy Rutherford of The Athletic drops some bombs on us, because we were kind of in the dark going into Sunday night's episode. I think we mentioned that there's nothing new with those Tarasenko rumors. Well, because we heard some smattering of things, but we haven't really. This is if everything we have heard leading up to 5:00 today were appetizers, Mason, what JR dropped this afternoon is dinner. It is a full course dinner. It is steak and mashed potatoes here, and we've got to talk about all of it here. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to do our expansion list for period number 2, and a little something special for period number 3 to cap off the show. Yes, Derek, we saw the 8-team list. We're going to run down those 8 teams that we know of. We've heard there's actually more, possibly up to over 10. Let's just safely call it that. Gene Bonds from Gateway City Sports joining us tonight, saying good evening. Go get us
howdy,
Kachuk. We do have some Kachuk rumors to talk about.
Spoilers.
That's in there. So we'll get over it. By the way, if you are watching or listening right now, please keep Aaron Wallace's family in your prayers. He had some sad news to share with us tonight. His grandfather passed away last Friday morning, and he died in his sleep. So
condolences, my friend.
Condolences, and hopefully the family's doing okay, and just everyone that is watching and listening, keep Aaron Wallace in your prayers. Now to this end here. Thank you very much, Gene Bonds, for the prayers. Let's get to period number 1, and what a period it's going to be. So out of the blue, without any provocation whatsoever, Jeremy Rutherford of The Athletic drops some rumor bombs on us in the form of a brand new Athletic article. And the article is simply titled, "What I'm Hearing About the Blues, Latest on Vladimir Tarasenko Trade Options, Jaden Schwartz's Contract, and more." And
okay, so first off, let me just, I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just got to say, I have no idea what he's talking about. I have been busy the last hour or so I haven't even checked Twitter. I had no idea he released an article. I've literally been packing for my vacation that I'm literally leaving for tomorrow morning. I have no idea what this is. I'm live reacting to this, the same as I'm sure most of you are. So, okay, with that in mind.
This shouldn't feel like a special show because you are literally Blues Fan Reacts, and
I know.
the episode is going to be you reacting. So
shame. I remember at 5:15, I got like 5 notifications all at once off of Twitter. I didn't check them though. So
and I will say
I
will say that was Rutherford's article, because as I'm reading it right now, it is 6:06 p.m. and it was posted 54 minutes ago. So it would have been more like 5:10, but who's counting? Regardless, so Jeremy Rutherford, and I did my best to kind of break this down into a synopsis for those of you that don't subscribe to The Athletic. Plagiarism is bad. I'm not going to read the whole article to you, but I'm just going to give you kind of the bullet points of what he is talking about here. So first things first, yes, Doug Armstrong has been exploring trade options for Vladimir Tarasenko. He has some verified teams that he has been talking with. And we'll get to those in just a little bit. As the title of the article indicates, Doug Armstrong this week has also been working on re-signing Jaden Schwartz, and as well as taking a look at the free agent market to come, doing his due diligence as you should. The Schwartz news might be interesting to some, but not all that surprising. So JR reminds us what's ahead of us for the next 2 weeks. Expansion draft 1 week from today, as we are recording this, July 21st. The protection list will be released sometime on Sunday. The NHL draft is on July 23rd. So 2 days after the expansion draft, today is Wednesday, so it'll be next Friday is the NHL draft. The Blues pick 16th, which is as high as they have drafted in quite some time.
It's exciting stuff.
And technically it's 17th, but Arizona forfeits the pick ahead. So NHL's got to be technical like that. And then free agency starts 2 weeks from tonight on July 28th. We are, if it feels like we are running down a runaway railroad car, down a hill, towards free agency, it's because we are. This is all exciting, and it's all coming very, very fast. Now, he admits starting off when he starts talking about the Tarasenko rumors that he has heard, that the Tarasenko situation itself is complicated. And leading off, he suggests he's not saying Armstrong is going to do this. He's not saying that Armstrong has talked about this, but he suggests that Armstrong could entice Kraken GM Ron Francis to take Tarasenko in the draft by giving him assets to take Tarasenko off the Blues' hands and the rest of his contract. Not just exposing Tarasenko in the draft. He goes beyond that. Rutherford suggests that he could bribe the Kraken to take Vladimir Tarasenko. In the past, Armstrong, I know Rutherford has had articles on this. He's talked to Doug Armstrong about this in the past. It seems like Armstrong has been reluctant to do the whole trading of assets to entice a team to take a player or to protect a player from the Kraken. But Mason, I think it's fair to say this is a little bit of a different situation than, say, protecting Vince Dunn, right?
Yeah, especially in the flat cap era that we're at right now, which it'll be here and as of right now for the next 6 or 7 more years, right? So you're going to have an 81.5 cap. Every cent is precious. So, with if you can just unload not very often you can unload a player with a $7.5 million contract over a couple of years. That opportunity doesn't present itself very often. So the expansion draft definitely gives you a little bit more of a unique opportunity to, I guess, take advantage of that.
And I have some thoughts on Vladimir going to Seattle in the expansion draft, and I've actually warmed up to the idea recently. We'll talk about that a little later on, because then Rutherford goes into so if you're talking about Seattle taking Tarasenko and giving them assets to take Tarasenko, there must not be much of a trade market, right? Wrong. The issue with the trade market that just kind of summarizing Rutherford's thoughts down, seems to be that he's not going to be able to unload the full $7.5 million per year on another team in all likelihood. You're going to have to take some salary back. It could be good assets that you're getting back, but you're still going to be taking some salary back if you trade to another team. Now, why would it be advantageous for the Blues to shed the entire salary? Well, two reasons: Landeskog and Tkachuk. We'll talk about those in just a little bit. But what Rutherford knows about other teams, and first of all, the Tarasenko no trade clause. He knows that Tarasenko has submitted a list of at least 10 clubs. He said he doesn't confirm it's above that, but it's at least 10. We've heard some Twitter rumors that it's actually in recent days Tarasenko has expanded from like 10 to 15 potentially. Maybe it's a pride situation. Maybe Tarasenko isn't like looking forward to the idea of being exposed to Seattle. That's all kind of conjecture. We were talking about that with Kurt Price and some others on Twitter. Here is who JR feels is on that list. He rattles off 8 teams: New York Rangers, New York Islanders, Vegas, Boston, Philly, Tampa, Capitals, and Panthers. For sure.
What?
That is what, Rutherford is saying that the Panthers are on Tarasenko's waived.
Not just the Panthers, but 4 of those other teams. Freaking Philadelphia, Tampa?
Yeah. In fact, speaking of Tampa, JR believes that Tarasenko's preference would be Tampa.
Well, of course, they just won a cup, but how would that work?
Exactly. They have cap issues.
No way they can do that. There's no way Tampa can do that. Even if they wanted to, I don't think Tampa could do it.
Unless like they're going to be like, well, okay, we'll take Tarasenko, but you got to take Victor Hedman back or something like that. I don't know. They wouldn't do that, but it would have to be a salary coming back, obviously. And they have some options there.
Yeah.
But,
and in that case, what's the enticing for Doug Armstrong at that point? I think Doug Armstrong's goal is dump salary. I think that's his goal with trading Tarasenko. It's not trading Tarasenko for the sake of trading Tarasenko. He wants to dump some salary. Tampa makes no sense to me. But I mean, if you can do it, whatever. But I'm just saying that would be kind of counterproductive.
And not only that, but like, of all the big salaries that Tampa has, the only one that I think they'd be willing to give up as an offset for Tarasenko might be like Tyler Johnson. And that's probably...
I wouldn't mind that.
He's okay, but...
He's okay.
Yeah, but...
I have a soft spot as a Washington boy. I have a soft spot.
Well, and then Tyler Johnson could very well be a member of the Seattle Kraken, depending on how the expansion draft goes. So we know that Tampa's the preference, but that may be pie in the sky. He mentions, he kind of goes in depth on some of the teams that are on the list. Rangers, Rutherford says that probably won't happen unless Chris Kreider's involved, as Alex Ferrario kind of surmised last week here on Toast to Tavern. That's probably not happening. Islanders, the Blues apparently want Noah Dobson, the 21-year-old defenseman who's very highly touted. That's been mentioned as a target, but Lou Lamoriello, obviously he's not exactly enamored with that, I don't think.
Of course not.
And of course, you heard that he's trying to shop Nick Leddy. Nick Leddy makes about $5.5 million, one more year on his deal. He's a left-handed defenseman, 30 years old, more offensive-minded. We already have a Torrey Krug. We're trying to get rid of a better, younger version of Leddy, arguably, in Vince Dunn. So that may not happen either. Boston. So I had someone on Twitter today say that the Brusque, Frederick, and the pick deal, like the first, that the Boston paper suggested, it was just a paper, just conjecture or whatever. Jeremy Rutherford, and again, I highly recommend you get an athletic subscription, by the way. I just want to point this out right away so you can read all this for yourself. But he kind of goes in depth on the DeBrusque, Frederick, and a pick idea, which leads me to believe maybe there is something to that. Maybe it wasn't just someone's conjecture. He kind of meant, JR kind of frames it as the more likely would be like, DeBrusque and a pick, and that's it. And maybe the Blues don't have to retain salary because Boston does have some cap space this offseason.
Yeah.
But
30 million or something like that.
Yeah, but then he mentions if they want to get like Frederick and like the 20th overall pick involved, he's Jeremy kind of asked, what would it take for that to happen? Later on in the article, he does suggest that it's quite possible that Armstrong may be doing like a Tarasenko done package, before the expansion lists are coming out. So, and Boston might be a team that might bite on that, honestly.
I think so.
So Boston, it sounds, if you were thinking that Boston trade idea was something to watch and maybe the Bruins were a team to watch, there might be something to that. He then mentions the Washington Capitals. Of course, Ovechkin, Tarasenko on the same line. I mean, we can all, just imagine how that
gross.
Backstrom centering them. I mean, yeah.
Gross. Yuck.
You get the left circle. Tarasenko, you get the right circle. Backstrom's the toughest
Backstrom
decision for Backstrom's going to be which one do I pass to? The rumor, Jerry Rutherford mentions that it would be the Capitals' preference to trade Kuznetsov for Tarasenko straight up. I'm not down with that. He's 4 more years at $7.8 million. He's talented. He's a producer. He's also a knucklehead and an idiot. And he would probably, fill the Yuri Laterra void, at least in terms of cocaine dealing in St. Louis. So, as that's alleged, by the way.
Hey, it could be good for the inner city, couldn't it?
Could be good for
It's eliminating all the rivals. You get a less saturated market. This could be good.
Exactly. There is a power vacuum to be filled there now that Laterra can't be a crime lord anymore. Now that he's been convicted of that.
Hard.
Yeah. So, and then again, JR at this point mentions the possible package of Tarasenko and Dunn as a hypothetical before the expansion draft. He points out that the Athletics' final mock draft for Seattle has the Blues losing Vince Dunn. And I'm seeing that more as a possibility, just looking at who the Blues will likely have available in that draft. And we'll go over our expansion lists and defend our picks a little bit later on. So that's Tarasenko on the side for now. Just for now.
A little bit interesting stuff there.
Very interesting stuff.
I'm surprised that a lot of those teams on that list, though. Tampa, now that I think of it, not really. But like Washington, freaking Philadelphia, that came out of freaking left field.
And besides
Panthers, a lot.
But you know what? Besides Vegas, what do all those teams have in common? Eastern Conference.
That's true.
And it was mentioned that, Doug Armstrong doesn't like to trade valuable assets to Western Conference teams. I mean, the last one, and we talked about this with Alex Ferrario last week as well. The last real name I feel the Blues have traded to the Western Conference might have been Brian Elliott to Calgary. And even that was just kind of like they had to move him. They got a second rounder for him, which became Jordan Kyrou, by the way. That worked out well. But yeah, I can't remember Armstrong trading out west either. But
yeah, I can't remember. I can't think of it.
But JR does confirm that the Blues have interest in Matthew Tkachuk. In fact, this for this, I'll go ahead and directly quote him on that because I feel it needs a little bit of context to just the bullet point that I wrote down here. So he says, and I quote, "This is where it gets interesting. The Blues have expressed interest in Calgary's Matthew Tkachuk, a St. Louis native, according to sources. The Flames aren't looking to trade Tkachuk this summer, but might be forced to by next summer when he's a restricted free agent if he doesn't want to be with the organization long term." By the way, we got flamed by a couple of Flames fans for suggesting that Tkachuk.
Oh, yeah. I got freaking death threats over that.
Yeah, literally a death threat. So
I literally got a death threat. I don't think I literally got a death threat for even mentioning Kachuk could be a grill. I was told to move out of my mommy's basement and have her make me a grilled cheese, and that only made me hungry for grilled cheese.
I hope you had like 3 grilled cheeses after you read that.
I have yet to have one. I need my mom to make it for me. I'll see her on vacation. I'll make her make one. And then I'll just at the guy and I'll be like, checkmate.
I love it. But anyway, if you're a Flames fan watching this, don't shoot the messenger. This is what Jeremy Rutherford of The Athletic.
What, do you think we make this stuff up? We're not this creative. No, we just tell people what we hear. We're weird.
Because unlike other podcasts, we don't play the "we have sources" shell game. So, we're just fans.
I have sources, Tom.
Oh yeah, and how dare you ask me about my sources? I'll show you my sources when you show me yours.
So just a giant dick waving contest sometimes between Twitter accounts.
I'm not going to talk about that certain person or the similar types like him. But regardless, back to Kachuk because that's what we're excited about. Here's where things even get more interesting. The Flames do have interest in Vince Dunn. And they may need a player like him sooner than later if they lose Mark Giordano in the expansion draft or just simply to retirement because I think he's got 1 year left and he's 85 years old. So
86.
so Rutherford suggests, and I quote, a package of Tarasenko, Dunn, and either a high draft pick or a top prospect could be enough to bring Kachuk home, a source said. So again, say it's Tarasenko, Vince Dunn, and
this year's first. Done.
Say this year's first for Matthew Kachuk. Done. Sold. Over.
Sold.
Welcome to
faster
St. Louis.
Than you can read out the I wouldn't even read through the. I'm weird. I read contracts whenever getting my new phone. I read every single contract. The employee was furious with me. Like, come on, just finish up. No, I have to read the whole thing just in case. I wouldn't even read this contract. Wouldn't. I'd sign it. Done.
Done. Sold. Where can I pick up Kachuk? Do you need me to take him to the airport, or do you got him? Yeah.
I'll cover the Uber ride.
Exactly. Fine. Done. Over with. In fact, we'll even handle his moving costs as well because we're nice. So
he'll just live with Walt.
By the way, Kachuk's average annual value is $7 million next season, which is the final year of his deal. But then again, he's an RFA after that. If they didn't have to retain salary in the deal, the Blues would actually be saving cap space in this deal, especially since Dunn's salary would be going the other way, and the potential, and he's also an RFA as well. So win-win, right?
Totally.
One problem.
Uh-oh.
As one may surmise, Calgary is not on Tarasenko's list.
Screw him.
So they might have to do.
If Tarasenko refuses to go to Calgary for this, I'll never forgive him. If Tarasenko is the sole reason we can't get that deal done, I will never forgive him. Never.
Remember,
if you want to act like a business, fine. If you want to be traded, fine. If you want, because this is a business after all. If you want to go your separate ways to another team because it's best for both of us, that's fine. If you're going to hold out, this is actively screwing the organization if you don't take that deal.
Agreed.
That's kind of like pissing on the grave, if you ask me. That's pissing on the Blues' grave right there.
I still have not forgiven Kevin Shattenkirk for refusing to go to Tampa in exchange for Jonathan Drouin.
And then he went to Tampa anyway the very next year.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because the deal was Shattenkirk had such a power boner for the New York Rangers.
I would have loved to have Drouin.
That Shattenkirk just said, no, I'm not going to go anywhere but New York. I want to go to New York. Wah, wah, wah. Finally,
and then New York freaking bought him out.
Yeah. And then New York buys him out. And then he's in Tampa. So, and then, of course, then Jonathan Drouin's been, I still wouldn't mind having him on the Blues, but he's been, He
can be a wizard at times. He can be an absolute puck wizard at times, but it's not consistent enough for me to be super excited.
He would be the type of player that I think would drive Blues fans nuts.
Yeah, like David Perron 3 seasons ago. Yeah.
Exactly, very much. Yeah, and you know what? Drouin's still in his mid-20s. I mean, if the shoe fits, I guess. Perron didn't mature and become the player that he was until he was in his 30s. So for some players, it just takes time. Mm-hmm. So that's the situation there. Now, the other left winger of Blues dreams this offseason, Gabriel Landeskog. Rutherford confirms the Blues have a lot, and he says that, a lot of internal interest in Gabriel Landeskog. So that kind of confirms that report that we heard from Peter Ball, well, not just Peter Ball, but from others. I think someone else mentioned.
I've heard it from goddamn everybody and their dog that they're interested in him.
The Blues are going to make a full court press, quote unquote, for Landeskog if he hits the market.
Good.
Peter Ball, The Athletic, of course, reported yesterday that talks have broken down between the Avs and Landeskog.
Fucker, where have we seen this before?
Remember when Griffin Young's of Tell It Avs It Is, and then the far side of the bench guy?
Oh, they were like, there's no way he's not
going to make it.
No.
He's going to resign. It's going to be, he's not going to, quit dreaming.
I mean, we kind of said the same thing about Petro, to be fair.
True.
We totally said the same thing about him, but
True.
Still, it's like, I can see him not sticking. I've been from the very beginning, I'm like, no, he's not staying with Colorado. They're too cap strapped. I've straight up said that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Also, another parallel, the Cardinals got Nolan Arenado from Colorado. Wouldn't it be fitting if they took another superstar from Colorado? Another St. Louis two-piece there, I guess.
It's okay. They took our playoff dreams last year, so it's only fair that we take their two favorite players.
They sweep our team, we sweep their star. It's only fitting. It's just only fitting. By the way, and by the way, for those, there's been someone on our Twitter page. He's got like his name's like A Highland or something like that. He's you know who you are if you're watching. Thank you for being a fan. I just am terrible with names. Has been trying to say that Landeskog would not be worth it. He's skeptical about his value. Thinks he might be a product of playing alongside Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. I want to show you this graphic that the Athletics' Dom Lucian shared today. And let me go ahead and just give it the full zoom here. He's worth it. But, for the audio listeners, Dom basically suggests that if the Blues or any team were to sign Gabriel Landeskog this offseason to a 7-year deal, he would still be a top 6 forward when his contract ends in 2027. Honestly,
the only thing that you need to be concerned about when it comes to Gabe Landeskog is he takes a stupid penalty every game.
So he's basically Perron in that regard.
Yes, basically. But he's like a way better Perron is what it is.
Well, according to the analytics here and the metrics that Dom uses here, first of all, Landeskog chews up about 20 minutes of ice time a game. That's very high for a forward, and that's because Landeskog is an elite two-way forward. In fact, a lot of Landeskog's value, I'm just paraphrasing here, is in his defense. Like he profiles Landeskog as a 99 out of 100 defensive forward. That is rare. He also speaks highly of Gabriel's ability to score goals. And just Mason, if there ever was a Craig Berube player, I can't think of a better prototype than Gabriel Landeskog.
Nope, I can't either. But the question is, will Craig Berube be the Blues coach of the future? Honestly, if we sign him for a 7-year deal, how much are you willing to bet that for half of that Craig Berube's gone? I mean, I'm thinking way ahead, of course, but I
see what you're saying, but let's cross that bridge later.
Of course.
Yeah, let's cross that bridge later. Let's think positive thoughts. Like
worst case scenario, he's a hell of a trade piece.
Yes, like think positive thoughts, like Gabriel Landeskog in a Blues uniform. And then just one final thing on Dom's graphic here. So he breaks down Gabriel's projected value, basically the amount of wins that he alone adds to a team over the next 7 years. He projects Gabriel to be an elite player for the next 2 years, a top line player for the 3 years after that, and then a top 6 player at the end. Remember, Landeskog is just 28 years old, so this is a bit of a different situation from Petro, who was 30 when he hit the market, and there are some questions about whether or not Petro is going to be good at the end of his contract. I don't think unless something freakish happens, I don't think we have to worry about that with Landeskog. So if I'm Armstrong, and let's go back to those talks about the Blues getting Tarasenko plucked by Seattle in the expansion draft, some way, shape, or form. That is why if Doug Armstrong ends up giving Ron Francis like a second and a third round pick to take Tarasenko or some package like that, this is why he is giving up that package to free up money to give Landeskog like $9.5 million per over 7. And I know that's a big number. The Blues don't have a player that's currently above 7.5 that O'Reilly and Tarasenko make, but this is Gabriel Landeskog.
He's worth it.
He is worth it. He is absolutely worth it. He may not be the sexy superstar like a Connor McDavid or anything like that. He is still a damn good hockey player. And the thought of him playing next to O'Reilly and Perron, I mean, that's just, in my opinion, that is right up there with McKinnon, Rantanen, and whoever the hell the ass put in the left wing when Landeskog goes. Rantanen. Donskoy, maybe. I don't know. So, yeah. By the way, Derek asks, is Landeskog on the same team as Schenn more weird than Krug on the same team as Perron and Thomas?
Landeskog and Schenn have beef is what he's going at.
Yeah. I mean, Krug and Thomas got over it pretty quickly. In fact, they actually joked about it after Krug signed, and the Blues Twitter put out something about it. These are hockey players. I mean, they aren't going to hold. It rarely is personal unless you're talking about like a Tom Wilson type or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like I could never see Tom Wilson playing on the same team as Oscar Sundqvist, for instance.
No,
that's not going to happen. But I don't think that's the same situation. I think Landeskog would fit in just fine in St. Louis. It would not have any problems. And finally, JR just kind of caps off the article by saying that with everything that's going on, Tarasenko is definitely the top issue with Doug Armstrong right now. So
fascinating.
All right. Blues fan reacts. What do you make of all that? I know you kind of jumped in a few times, but just how do you feel now?
I mean, it's a lot to take in, for sure. I mean, you want you want any value that you can get out of Tarasenko, and the fact that there are a couple teams that he'd be willing to, well, more than a couple, but the fact that there are options make it a little bit nicer with that no trade clause, and actually makes me feel a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit better about the Binnington contract, because you can, I mean, it's just like what a no trade clause is. It's not that the player can't be moved, it's that the player cannot be moved without his permission.
Yeah.
And with that, like a GM's just not going to go to a player unless they actively say, hey, I want to trade out of this organization. They're not going to just like willy-nilly ask, hey, we want to send you there. We saw the same thing with Patrick Hornquist last year. He had a full no trade clause, and the Penguins said, hey, we want to move you to Florida. And he says, okay, we'll do that because Florida wants me at the end of the day and you don't.
Well, one reason Hornquist is probably okay with moving is probably the same reason Tarasenko would be okay going to Florida. No state income tax.
That's true.
There's
we
that.
Saw the same thing with Petro. Petro, I think the tax equivalent of going from St. Louis to Vegas is like $9.3 million a season. Tax equivalent from Vegas to St. Louis. It's some ridiculous amount. It's like, chase that bag, Petro. Go for it.
And also, let's just face it, it is Florida, it's Miami, and if it gets below 50 degrees, it's an apocalypse down there. So, there is something to be said about warm climes, going down there. So, but not only that, but, Alexander Barkov, one of the most, I feel, underrated players in the NHL. He is not a household name. Put Tarasenko next to him, that Russian connection. I can see why Florida would be kind of interested in that.
I can kind of see that. I mean, okay, so let's go over the list really quickly. So it is New York Islanders, like they said, they've shown interest in pulling. What was his name?
It was Rangers, and they might have to get Chris Kreider involved.
Rangers too, but the Islanders. Who is that 21-year-old defenseman?
Islanders. The Blues want Noah Dobson.
That's right. I thought it was Poulin for some reason. That's because I was looking at NHL All-Star highlights last game. But I mean, that would be interesting. I would love to get a young defenseman, but like you said, he's a left-handed one. And do the Blues really need left-handed? No, they don't.
They really
don't need left-handed, so that kind of takes them off the table.
The Blues defense situation, by the way, I was talking with KMOX's Tom Akron about that this morning. It's a little weird because you look at the depth on the left side and like they don't need a left-handed defenseman. You look at the depth on the right side, including Scott Prunovich, who can, is a left-handed shot but can play on the right. And you go, well, they don't need a right-handed defenseman either. They still got Bortuzzo, they got Parayko, they got Falk. What the Blues do need is a big ox to play on defense. They need a big, beefy Jamie Oleksiak type, to be quite honest with you. Not a offensive dynamo. They're trying to get rid of one. So
they're trying to get rid of one right now. Like trading a Vince Dunn for a Noah Dobson is just like almost pointless if you think about it. Because I think Vince Dunn is better. So
hot take.
I mean, it's a little bit of a hot take, but I think Vince Dunn would do better on the New York Islanders than Noah Dobson would on the St. Louis Blues. It's just what I think. Hot take alert. I know. Cancel BFR. Get that trending again because it was trending freaking 2 weeks ago. I just cancel me. My takes suck. That's true. But also don't compromise. Well, we'll get to that at the third period.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I feel dirty for actually rooting for Boston in anything right now, but I'm kind of rooting for that DeBrusk Frederick first rumored deal.
Oh,
even if you have to give them Dunn.
Fine. Done. Fine.
And you know what? You can still get Landeskog.
And their first is 20th overall. I mean,
yeah.
That's still, even 20th is higher than we've picked in a very long time, too. So,
yeah. And have you seen the Blues prospects list lately? It's pretty sad.
Depressing.
It's sad. It's pretty barren.
We got Peranovich. That's it.
Yeah, Peranovich.
That's it. And our goaltenders. Our goaltenders are the only bright spot.
Our two goalies, but of course,
two goalies are the only bright spot.
But of course, goaltending is voodoo, so we can't fully.
Goaltending's cursed. Everything's cursed. Everything that has to do with the Blues and Toronto Maple Leafs, it's all cursed.
Yes. All right. Yes. So that is as much of a nutshell as I could put it into. We went 30 minutes about it, but that is the Jeremy Rutherford Athletic article in a nutshell. I haven't really checked Twitter either since he posted it. I just saw the article was posted, and I was like, okay, we got to do a show. So I don't even know what the reaction to it here. In fact, I'm going to refresh the Athletic article, take a look at some of the comments down below here, because they can always be a little interesting here. Renell S. says, this is one of the worst articles I've read. An AHL forward with broken shoulders and second pair D-man for Tkachuk. You should apologize to your bosses for spewing this trash.
I don't like your opinion, therefore go kill yourself and or get fired. Welcome to Twitter.
And welcome to Calgary, apparently.
Welcome to Calgary, too. Holy hell. I messaged Paul. I don't give Tkachuk. I messaged him. I'm like, are you all like this? And he's like, yeah.
by the way, Jeremy just completely, spiked that right back in the guy's face saying, sorry, it took me a minute to respond. I was replying to someone else who wrote, great article.
Sorry for taking so long to respond. I was counting my money.
Exactly. And then he points out the headline says, what I'm hearing, it's what I heard. So there you go. Let's see what else here. Dan W says the real issue is Tarasenko's health and why, if I were a GM, I'd want a steep discount. Philly's also an option and is looking to move Voracek. I believe, actually.
I've heard that.
Derek, who's watching right now, kind of asked about Voracek.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting possibility I haven't heard about. Voracek makes $8.25 million for 3 more years, and they need a short first swinger. I guess a shoot first swinger is what he meant.
Left or right?
Yeah, I don't think it matters for Philly. But Voracek is, if anything, consistently a 60-plus point guy, super durable, only missing 25 games total in his 13-year career. Rutherford responded to that by saying, I'm sure if the Blues are talking to Philly that Voracek's name has come up. I almost put that possibility in the story, but didn't want to bog it down with every option. So,
of course.
There's more things he's heard. He just didn't put it in the article. The ones in the article are the ones I've heard. Okay, well, that refutes that. So,
fuck.
That just means he hasn't specifically heard Voracek, but he basically paints it as
I'd imagine it would come up in conversation. The other one I would imagine comes up is I don't know, maybe a oh gosh, what's this freaking name? Gosh, forget I said anything. Provorov.
Oh yeah, Provorov. That'd be nice.
I bet Provorov has come up in conversations as well. Gosh, I had it until I was about to say his name, and I'm like,
well, and
what's his name?
And Provorov would fit what the Blues need on defense. Physical.
I bet Provorov came up as well. So
I bet you here. Calgary guy that I mentioned at the start of the comments is getting flamed by other commenters, which is kind of nice. Again, another reason to get an Athletic subscription to watch dumb Calgary fans get flamed.
That's okay. I'll just leech off yours.
All right, Josh C. asks Rutherford, question. Clearly the Blues are interested in Landeskog. At one point, does it become tampering? If he's reading the same articles we are, or if someone in his camp is winking and nodding towards a particular headline, he knows, we know, he knows, we know, he knows. I'm also under the impression he's buddies with O'Reilly, but correct me if I'm wrong there. By the way, I forgot about the O'Reilly angle because it seems like forever since O'Reilly was an Av, but those two would have been teammates. But correct me if I'm wrong there. Is it only tampering if someone actively on the team, even a player, reaches out to him to gauge interest? Rutherford responds, it's not tampering unless the Blues are reaching out to Landeskog's camp themselves. This is just informed information, but I'm not saying that the Blues have made contact or anything like that. Landeskog and his agents know which teams would be interested, regardless of whether they read it in the media or not. Which is true because it's Gabriel freaking Landeskog. And of course,
That's true. I think every single team has interest in Gabriel Landeskog. Every single one has a little bit of interest in them.
I have a feeling if you're an NHL GM and it is July 14th, free agency is 2 weeks from now, and you haven't at least emailed the Avalanche GM saying, hi, what's up? Or not the Avs GM, but the agent. Actually, he's a free agent. Forget I said anything. I was thinking like a trade situation, but no, I'm sure every NHL front office has at least had the Landeskog discussion by now. Of course. And if they haven't, they're committing malpractice, or they're the Buffalo Sabres. So, which is also,
or they're the Buffalo Sabres. That's true.
Which is just generally malpractice in of itself.
Guess what other fan base wants Gabriel Landeskog?
Yeah, well, I saw someone suggest that maybe the Blues trade Tarasenko to Buffalo, and I'm like, wait a second. For one,
again,
Tarasenko's not going to leave St. Louis to go to Buffalo.
First off, he doesn't want to go to Calgary. What makes you think that he wants to go to Buffalo?
People on the internet are weird.
I bet Toronto Maple Leafs want them on the team because Toronto wants literally everybody and their dog on their team.
By the way, because everything that we're talking about at least has the expansion draft to think about. Derek says, yeah, but Philly is thinking of no protecting Voracek.
Yeah,
but I'm sure they are protecting Provorov. By the way, Voracek I think would be an intriguing option for Seattle, but
yeah, Voracek would be.
I feel that, but
that would be a jersey seller for sure.
It would be. It's the problem is I'm sure Seattle's probably talked to at least half the league by now about potential trades before the draft to protect players or to get to Seattle to take players. Now, I kind of teased earlier on that I'm kind of warming up to the idea of Tarasenko becoming a member of the Seattle Kraken, not just for and from the Blues perspective, we talked about it with Landeskog and freeing up money for that, and maybe some other players like Zach Hyman's out there. Zach Hyman's another Berube guy.
Sure.
I feel he'd be like a good consolation prize if the Blues don't get Gabriel Landeskog, but I'm sure other teams will like him too.
I'm fairly sure that they will get one of those two.
I wouldn't
just reading about it, I would not be surprised. I'd say 50-50 shot to get at least one of those guys.
I wonder if Bozak would do some campaigning for Hyman to come to St. Louis.
I bet he would, actually. I bet he would. They played on the same line.
Especially if Bozak comes back and on a cheap,
Bozak played with Hyman on. I believe it was the third or second line for Toronto when Hyman was just getting into the league. So I bet I wouldn't be surprised actually. That's not a bad. I didn't think about that.
I'd be very happy with Hyman. I think
he's a hard worker.
He's a hard worker. He'd be very popular. He scores goals. I mean, not at the click of a Landeskog, but I mean, he still can produce on offense, more than respectably. So,
actually, Matt, we get cap space if he goes to Seattle. So,
yeah, and again, the you have to look at it, and I put this on a Twitter question earlier today, and actually, I should probably check that as we are yapping here. But the value in Seattle taking Tarasenko isn't just, well, we're not getting any assets back. The value is freeing up money to sign a Landeskog or, some other big piece in his stead. You almost have to kind of look at it almost as a trade. I mean, it's not just, they're just losing Tarasenko because of, malfeasance or, they made a dumb move. If they lose Tarasenko to Seattle, it's a calculated move to use that money and that space for a Landeskog or a Hyman or a Tkachuk to improve your team. So
that is the percent of the cap. That is 9.2% of the cap right now is currently going to Tarasenko. That is nearly a tenth. That is nearly 1/10 of the entire salary cap. You're telling me you wouldn't want to move that? I think getting rid of that's a good deal in and of itself.
I agree. And by the way, that Twitter question we shared it on Toast of St. Louis this morning. True or false? If the Blues Tarasenko to the Seattle Kraken for nothing, but sign Landeskog with the savings, I'm okay with this. True or false?
That is overwhelmingly yes.
If you were watching, we had 71 votes. 84.5% said true. If the Blues lose Tarasenko but sign Landeskog with his savings, Blues fans at an 84 to 16% clip are A-okay with that. So
I'm good with that.
It's good to see that that there's.
I thought that'd be closer though. I actually thought that would be closer. No, and Blues fans.
Also, speaking of Blues fans, Matt insists that Tarasenko is going to get traded anyway. Which fine, great. We get assets for Tarasenko. That's fine too. And I'm sure Armstrong is not going to take Nick Leddy back, or he's not going to take Chris Kreider back, or I don't think he's going to get Kuznetsov.
What's great about the Tarasenko situation is no matter what happens, we can be happy with it, honestly.
Yeah.
Unless he really duffs a trade. I'm happy with whatever happens. If he doesn't end up trading and Tarasenko ends up living the remainder of his contract, great. He's Tarasenko, fan favorite. We love him. Whatever. Exactly. If he goes to Calgary, then if he goes to Calgary, we get Tkachuk or maybe something else good. Monahan, I've heard in conversations. By the way, did he mention anything about Monahan in that article?
Did not mention Monahan.
Okay.
That was not mentioned. The only Calgary mention was about Tkachuk.
Okay. Well, still, I mean, if he goes somewhere, then chances are, I guarantee you that every single GM, like Tom said, and I'm going to keep repeating because it's a wonderful metaphor, he is a broken down Porsche on the side of the road. And I'm sure every single GM just sees him as a Porsche, honestly. So whatever happens, unless he royally duffs it, like TJ Oshie for Troy Bauer duffs it, then I don't think there's anything to worry about.
By the way, Matt MLO12 is going to die on this trade Tarasenko hill. You're just going to give him to the Kraken without even a draft pick. Let me tell you something. Would you rather have Gabriel Landeskog or a second-round pick? End of story. Moving on. Expansion draft coming up in just over a week. Lists come out on Sunday. We made some lists on who we would protect, and we did this kind of before all these rumors came out, but I think they still hold up.
Yeah.
Go into period.
Still hold up for me anyway. I wouldn't change anything.
Let's go to period 2. All right, so I think all three of us here, and I say three because Wags would have been a part of the show had his kidney stones not flared up. Stupid kidney stones.
Darn kidney stones.
Banned kidney stones.
Darn it.
But we all submitted our protection list for the Seattle draft. And we all went with the 7 forward, 3 defensemen, 1 goaltending option. I think that's the only legitimate option that the Blues have at the moment. 7 forwards that I have the Blues protecting. And I don't think any of us are too surprising, although you made a couple surprising picks.
I did, yes.
Yeah, I'm saying the Blues will protect Ryan O'Reilly, Braden Shen, David Perron, Oscar Sundqvist, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, and then I say Ivan Barbashev, but I put an asterisk next to it because going into when I made this list and not exactly knowing even what the market for Tarasenko fully looked like until Rutherford's article just now, I was kind of making the point Sunday that if Tarasenko is protected, Armstrong might have a deal in the works for him or feel that he can get assets for him. If not, then he's hoping Seattle takes Tarasenko. But if it's going to be a situation where Tarasenko's traded, like in that Boston deal, or any other deal, Barbashev doesn't get. In my opinion, I think Barbashev's the last to go in that list, and he would be the one exposed. And I think there's a realistic chance Seattle could take a guy like Barbashev. That's just between him and Sammy Blais. If you're looking at forwards, Barbashev, in my opinion, be the most attractive forward.
Yeah.
Defense, I'm going with the standard: Colton Parayko, Justin Falk, and Torrey Krug. And then goaltending, I have Jordan Binnington. So you would have the likes of Vince Dunn exposed. You would have Marco Scandella exposed, Nico Mikkola exposed. And of course, our favorite, Ville Husso, would be exposed as well. So, by the way, Rutherford suggest it's probably not going to be likely that Seattle takes Husso. So I think they're going to be okay there. And then, I do agree with Matt. If you can, you got to keep Barbie and Sonny.
Yes.
I think that's a priority, but it just may come down to numbers in that regard.
Right.
Wags, his protection list, very similar. He went with O'Reilly, Shen, Perron. He's suggesting protecting Jaden Schwartz. And I'll get into his. He kind of gave me an explanation about that. I'll kind of paraphrase that for you. Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Ivan Barbashev, no asterisk. Same defenders: Parayko, Falcon, Krug, and goaltending would be Binnington. Wags is a Jaden Schwartz fan. I don't think he wants to see Jaden Schwartz go. And then, as JR pointed out, the Blues are talking with Jaden Schwartz agents about coming back. So maybe I think that would be kind of a similar situation to Tarasenko, where if you feel you're close to a deal with Schwartz or you're going to have him signed, maybe you do protect him. Schwartz has been a big part of this organization for a decade. I mean, I feel a lot of us are kind of underselling the impact of Jaden Schwartz moving on. I think it's very easy to forget, even though he didn't have a great year last year. This is a pillar guy for the team, Mason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, like you've said, like Wags has said, like I've said, he is the Alex Steen of this team right now. He's the guy that younger players look up to in the locker room. He's been here since the beginning, since this core was being built around, he's always been a playoff contributor. Maybe regular season he doesn't have that, stride in his step as much, but I mean, when it comes playoff time, he delivers, and that's just flat out what you want to see in a player if you want any sort of success. This team can carry itself into the playoffs relatively easily. There's not very often do they have like a struggle going into the playoffs, but it's being in the playoffs and what you do with that playoff time that really determines how successful you are as a franchise. If it only came down to regular season, Blues are one of the top 5 organizations in the entire league. Only came down to playoffs, because we flat out do not miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and even if you bring back Jaden Schwartz, and I was also talking about this with Tom Ackerman this morning, we have to accept the fact that Jaden Schwartz is not a top line left winger. He's a good second line, third. I don't want to call him a fully third line center. He's probably still a second line left wing. You still need that top line left winger, which is where Landeskog would come in, where Kachuk would come in, where you could even probably didn't Hyman get some first line minutes with Toronto?
Yep. Yeah, because he was the only player who would consistently show up.
Exactly. So, I mean, you can probably put Hyman on that top line next to O'Reilly and Perron, and that'd be a fun line. By the way, Derek said he would take Sonny over Schwartz, but we really don't know anything about Sonny's recovery at this point. By the way, we are now 2 for 3 on not protecting Vladimir Tarasenko between myself and Wags. By the way, one thing that I should point out, something that I think you'll like, Mason, before we get to your list, is if you trade Tarasenko for a left winger, or you clear him out and then bring in a left winger, that opens up top 6 minutes for the Speed Demon.
Yes, it does.
And remind
yes, it does.
Speed Demon is what?
Speed Demon's a late baby.
There you go. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, I would be down for giving Jordan Kyrou a spot on that second line. Definitely. If it's Schwartz coming back, you can have Schwartz, Shen, Kyrou.
Oh yeah.
That would work for me. That would work for me.
I think we saw Schwartz and Kyrou. I saw Schwartz and Kyrou in late 2019 when he came to LA, when that was the last Blues games I ever went to. But my gosh, the cameras do not pick up how quick he actually is. Like, you have to see him in person. Like, I'm sure there's a couple people watching this who've never been to a Blues game, never seen Jordan Kyrou play. Cameras, you do not fully appreciate just how well he sees the ice, first off, but second, how seamless his skating transition is. Easily the best skater on the team. Like, not even close, honestly. Not even close.
Absolutely. And by the way, spoiler alert, I was looking to add the Winter Classic blue alternate, that not the one with that they actually wore in the Winter Classic, but the modern alternate jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I found one on eBay for like $80. I pounced on it. It's a blank. At this point, if the Blues don't sign Landeskog, that becomes the Kyrou.
Yeah.
If the Blues do sign Landeskog, that becomes a Landeskog.
Obviously. If Landeskog or Tkachuk become Blues, instant jersey purchase. Instant.
And Rodney Hale
even both.
And Rodney Hale says with the Landeskog rumors, he would not protect Tarasenko. So I totally get where you're coming from there. And then Rodney he takes umbrage with Wags' list a little bit. He wouldn't protect Schwartz because then you have a chance at losing Sonny, which is also true. And then, by the way, Matt points out Kyrou broke the AHL All-Star speed record.
Did he?
I seem to recall something about that. I
didn't know that. I'm looking this up.
If not, hey, we learned something new. Thanks a lot, Matt MLO12 on YouTube for that.
The AHL.
All right, while you're looking that up, I will go ahead and bring up your protection list. If you're watching the video version, I mislabeled it. This is Mason's Blues protection list.
Fourth fastest. He's the fourth fastest. 13.52.
That's liquid fast.
Holy shit. That is literally McDavid speed.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
By the way, you think that I love Kyrou and you think that you love Kyrou. Derek says he is the proud owner of 4 Kyrou.
Holy crap.
Kyrou just needs to toughen up so he doesn't cough up pucks if he wants top line minutes. That's fair. He's a very, I guess, sprightly guy. He's got a very thin frame. He bulked up a little bit. He could probably bulk up a little bit more. But yeah, I'm encouraged by what I saw from Kyrou. But yeah, 4 Kyrou game jerseys. That's love right there.
Damn.
Because game jerseys are expensive. I only have one. By the way, guess which game worn jersey that I have, and I'll tell you it's from the Minnesota Wild within recent years.
You'll
never guess.
Probably not.
Because it's a Martin Hansel.
Really?
Yeah. He played 20 games for the Wild, and I got one of his home jerseys, which I think he only played maybe like 9 home games. So guy wanted to get rid of it for like $150. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it. I was looking for that style of jersey. So I'm a hockey jersey collector in case you guys don't know. So
I have a few. My mom seems to think that I spend so much money on jerseys, but yes, Hamilton is a UFA, Matt. But my mom seems to think I spend too much on jerseys. I really don't. I just show her, like, most people have like 20 hockey jerseys.
And how many do you own?
1, 2 NHL?
Yeah, NHL.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3 of them. Actually, no, technically 10. 3 of them don't fit me. 2 of them. Yeah, 3 of them don't fit me. 2 of them are at home.
Okay. Here's my first one right here, Mr. Gretzky, that I got in 1996, and I think he was signed in New York like a week after I got it back, which was very sad.
Cursed.
But I don't know the exact number of NHL jerseys I have. I know between NHL, ECHL, Worlds, a couple KHL, geeky jerseys. I have over 120 hockey jerseys.
Nope, don't even have that. I don't have more than a dozen jerseys. I have a Team Finland jersey that I got at a thrift store, which is super cool, but that's at home.
They have a beautiful jersey.
That was so gorgeous. I had a Team Canada jersey. Well, we can do that another episode. We can just go over our jersy collections.
Yeah,
that'll be a fun episode.
But I do have two. I have at least 2 jerseys for each NHL team. So
I do not.
I have a problem. That's for sure. By the way, Matt MLO 12's jersey.
Brad Boys. Okay.
Brad Boys, which wasn't he number 12 for the Blues? Am I misthinking that?
I thought it was 22. So
you might be right. It's been a while. You're right. He was 22. So I was trying to see if there's a correlation between his name and Brad Boys' number. So yeah, Matt says 22. That's correct. So, okay, now to your protection list. Again, if you
by the way, yes, that is labeled wrong. That is mine, not Wags's. This is mine.
Yes. I may fix that in post production, but if not, you've been warned. BFR's production list for forwards: Ryan O'Reilly, Braden Shen, David Perron, Mike Hoffman instead of Jaden Schwartz, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, and then Oscar Sundquist gets the Duke over Ivan Barbashev. Defense, and this is where for me it gets kind of interesting. We can talk about the Hoffman thing first of all, but defense, you have Parayko, Krug, and Nico Mikkola over Vince Dunn and Justin Falk, and then your goaltender is Binnington. So why Nico over Falk or Dunn?
What it really comes down to is I think Nico Mikkola, obviously excluding Dunn, is the 4th best defender on this team. And I think that being able to expose Falk is a very interesting opportunity for the Blues. I'm not saying I love that idea, but we do have to keep in mind he kind of dropped off at the end of the season. He had a great start, but then totally dropped off the last 10 games. He got injured in the final game, which is not a fun injury, and I'm sure that's going to affect his game in some way.
Yeah.
What are the odds that Justin Falk, with age, will get any better? I have my doubts on it, and he's got 7 more years on his contract, or 6 more years on his contract.
And then the thought,
not stoked about that.
And the thought would be that his term, his age, and his cap hit would not be attractive to Seattle, but he was Ron Francis's boy in Carolina.
Yep. There's the Ron Francis connection there. And I think Nico Mikkola is going to be one of the faces of the Blues defense for in a couple of years. I think that he is going to only get better with age.
I love me some Nico Mikkola. I think he is going to, I don't think he's ever going to be a top pairing defenseman, but he is the type of defenseman kind of like,
I think he could.
I think
Nico Mikkola can be a top 2. I think he can.
I think his floor is that he just becomes a very solid part of this defensive core, kind of like a Robert Bortuzzo, where he is always in the lineup. He has been, and he will be like looking at him, and it's like, man, Mikkola's been a part of the Blues for a long time, and he's just steady Eddie out there. He could. Right. I think he could be effectively. He should be at least the replacement for Gunnarsson. At least. Roster. But I think he's Gunnarsson, but with size and physicality. Because he does.
Right.
He's not.
Well, he's skinny as a stick, though. So I think if he puts on some pounds in the off seasons to come, I think that he will be dangerous. I think he will be basically a beta Colton Parayko.
Could be. Well, it's going to be like some sort of weird, like Parayko, Gunnarsson, Frankenstein. I think that's what he ends up being. Remember, Gunnarsson wasn't big either, and he wasn't physical, but Mikkola is. But Mikkola can also, he's shown that he can contribute on the offensive side as well. He's not, I don't think he's ever going to be elite there, but he's not useless. So. Right. And then, of course, as Matt points out, don't forget, we still got Jake Wallman and Scott Prudhomme.
Yes, sir. Our defense, people like to think that our defensive situation is so dire because it's so small. No, it's too big, and we have too many big contracts up there. That's what the problem is.
I still wonder, if the Blues, getting back to Tarasenko just briefly, if you're thinking of, okay, some team's going to want you to take some salary back in the deal. What if the pairing isn't Tarasenko and Dunn, but like Tarasenko and Scandella? Because
that might be something interesting.
Because I don't know, because with all these names that we've mentioned, Scandella makes $3.25 million. He's okay. I
think that was a bit high on the contract side.
And
I think that was a tad high. Not enough for me to like go up in arms about it, but I think the last year of that deal is not going to look good.
And with Mikkola and Wallman emerging, I just kind of question. And then, of course, the need for a big, bulky defenseman, and presumably, hopefully, it's Alexiak, but someone. I just wonder if Scandella has a role going forward. But we can talk about that at another time. And then you suggested the Blues protect Mike Hoffman.
Absolutely. I absolutely think so.
Am I correct in thinking that might be like a goodwill gesture towards him to maybe get him to resign?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think that if there's part of a very small part of my reasoning, and I'm just going to say this is very small, but he does have trade value. He honestly does. You know, if you protect him so that you know that you're going to get something out of him, if you do decide to dump him, you know, you can sign him to a friendly deal, and then maybe that's an enticing package to add to a Tkachuk deal, you reckon? I mean, that's what I thought. I'm surprised that not very many people thought of Hoffman as maybe a sweetener after, you know, a 1 or 2 year bridge deal kind of thing. Well, not really a bridge deal, but I mean, like a 1 to 2 year just short term deal. I think that would be a very enticing piece for a lot of teams to try to get maybe a Tkachuk thing done. If you know, but if done is really like if Calgary really wants done, then maybe that would be what you could do. Is you can do Hoffman and Dunn and maybe a pick to Calgary for Tkachuk. You can do Tarasenko to the Bruins for that package, and then you can sign Gabe Lindskog. Boom. Think it out. There's so much you can do with a protected Hoffman that you can guarantee won't go to another team after signing. There's just so much you can do with that.
I mean, at the very least, I have to think Hoffman would be insurance if the Schwartz talks crash on a reef between now.
That's actually the biggest part of that. That's the biggest part. That was just a really small part, but I mean, it was just kind of intriguing to me. But yeah, definitely Hoffman is a good fallback plan, honestly. If Schwartz things fall apart, if, you know, Bozak things fall apart even, you know, Hoffman's a great backup plan.
Because he can play left wing if he's needed. I know he prefers the right side, you know, but he can probably I don't see a reason why Kyrou can't play out on the left. I mean, I haven't seen him much on his offhand, but you know, he's young, he can learn. Lots of possibilities, lots of possibilities there. So that's our expansion list for now. By the way, Matt says, I don't think Hoffman hurts our team, especially with Tarasenko leaving. He saved us quite a bit last season. Yes, he did. I was ready to punt Mike Hoffman into the river at one point, like everyone else was, but he redeemed himself, and I believe he's earned at least a chance to come back. Now, that's all going to be on Hoffman. I think. I think he likes
the Blues. I think the Blues are the most intriguing prospect for him right now. Well, I genuinely think that.
Well, I think he got a little sulky over how he was being handled, and I don't think he's any different than anyone else in that situation. He handled that, I think, like anyone else would have. But he surely has to think about how he was treated down the stretch, and how he was getting that prime power play time. So maybe we haven't seen the last of Mike Hoffman. Maybe we haven't seen the last of him. I kind of hope not at this point, which is weird for me to say because a few months ago I would have said the opposite.
If he signs for 2 or 3 more years, on the off chance that he does, I'll buy his jersey. I'd buy it. Because I thought he was just going to be a rental for the season. I didn't realize that maybe he's a good future piece. I just this is like a for fun hop and haha please the fans thing. But now I'm like, hey, if he sticks around, that's a jersey purchase. I liked his game.
Well, and former part of Blue Notes, Guy the Wyatt Blues fan, he won one of the Bob Plager warm-up jerseys, and it was the Mike Hoffman signed Plager jersey. So that's which, by the way, that's a beautiful jersey. By the way, I got to see it up close last night in Hawaii. Very pretty, so pretty. But yes, that is our expansion list. Of course, they're probably going to be all moot by the time Sunday rolls around.
Let's have a friendly competition. Who gets the closest? What should the winner get? Or even better, what should the loser get?
I actually have a couple gift cards that are lying around in my house. Like there's one to this really nice place in Webster Groves called Olive and Oak. I might give that away.
Yeah, but what's what's your enticing? What's enticing for you then? Come on. Tell you what, when we go to we'll make a bet, like buy a round of drinks or something for everyone.
There we go. Done.
There we go.
Done. Easy breezy. And you are coming to St. Louis at some point. We have to get you here. We have to get you here. Absolutely. So expansion lists are in. Of course, they'll probably change between now and Sunday because I just kind of get the feeling that something's going to happen with either Dunn or Tarasenko or both. That's going to change the trajectory of what
everything's going to go out the window. Everything that we say is moot in like 1 week.
So and again, 1 week is the actual draft itself on July 21st. I think what we're going to do is either because the lists come out on Sunday, they actually haven't set a time when they'll come out. But I think what we're going to do, and when I say we, I mean you, me, and Wags, we'll come back on Monday or Tuesday, and we're going to do a mock expansion draft. And I think we're going to do what you suggested Sunday, where we like rotate teams between the three of us. So like I've
already been to the City Museum, Derek.
So yes, the City Museum. If you ever go to St. Louis, it's highly recommended. And
I have visited. I've been there once before already. So I've been to all the tourist destinations. I went to the courthouse. I went to the, obviously the Blues game. I went to a Rams game. I went to the top of the arch. Went to the City Museum. Went to the. Okay, so I went to two separate museums. So I went to a City Museum, and then I went to one that had like the Thomas Jefferson statue.
I know which one you're talking about. I think that's a Missouri History Museum, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the Missouri History.
But
one.
The City
I
Museum,
went to both of them.
City Museum is like a very quirky. They got the Ferris wheel on the top. That is the one that, like, if there's one museum you go to, it's not even really a museum. It's somewhere of like an amusement place. But definitely go to City Museum for sure.
Yeah, I went to both those places.
So yeah, next week we will sometime Monday or Tuesday we'll announce it on our Toasted St. Louis Twitter and Facebook when we'll go with this. But we're gonna do a mock expansion draft between the three of us. We'll rotate teams, and then we'll all laugh as we're all wrong on
as we all are wrong. Like they like protect Tarasenko and they protect Vince Dunn.
Yeah.
Riley exposed for some stupid hobnock reason.
But you know what? It's going to be fun. This is going to be a wild 2 weeks. This is going
to be a wild off season.
I haven't been more amped for anything Blues related since the season started. Mm-hmm. Honestly, because this season was kind of a trudge. It was kind of
that was such a letdown. This is going to be so much better.
Yeah. By the way, AZ Sports Guy checks in saying hello, and
how's it going?
By the way, I should point out that Rutherford did not mention Arizona as part of Tarasenko's no trade.
I mean, good.
So cancel that Tarasenko peyote jersey order, AZ Sports Guy. It ain't happening.
I know he wants it.
We're not taking Ekman Larson. Stop asking. Alrighty, so we do have a third period coming up here. Something a little bit fun. Let's go ahead and get right to it. You want to work for the St. Louis Blues?
A little bit.
Your chance. Who here that is watching or listening right now has not dreamed of being under the employ of the St. Louis Blues in some way, shape, or form? Put your hand down. You're a liar. If you're saying you didn't want to. So the Blues are hiring for a couple of positions. They are looking for a digital content coordinator. They are looking for a graphic designer, which I think Leah, CK55, would be excellent at, by the way. And I've already touted her on Twitter. If they don't hire her,
and like 40 other people.
I know. But she's good at what she does, and she said she is dyed in the wool Blues fan. I mean, she would be great at it. They're looking for an innovation and digital activation coordinator. They're looking for
whatever the fuck that means.
There are words on a screen that I read in the order that they were presented, and I have no idea what it means. Obviously, I did not go to school for that sort of thing. No. Junior motion graphics designer, a social media coordinator, and a video content producer. But there's one other position that they have available, a position, Mason, that is near and dear to your heart. They are looking for a social media intern. And if you had one chance, if you were called to the St. Louis Blues and to a Zoom meeting, and you had a chance to win them over with the speech of your life to become the next social media intern for the St. Louis Blues, Mason, the floor is yours.
Goodness.
What would you do?
Not a lot.
I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
He'll hang up and listen. Oh gosh. Okay. So first of all, I think that I, for one, would be a fantastic social media guy. I mean, I already run a brand account. I run my mall company's account. We do gentleman stuff, and I don't think people realize just how hard it is to make beard memes. Like, you only have so much. It's so hard. It's so difficult. Our online sales have increased. Our online traffic, our follower count has like quintupled since I took over. I mean, I'm generating a lot of interest. I'm getting us with connections, where we've got a lot of podcast sponsorships just because I've been reaching out to people. I mean, I don't think the Blues need a lot of help in that regard, getting their name out there. But I mean, I would definitely start beef with the art of shaving. So I figured I'd start beef with like the Chicago Blackhawks, that kind of thing. I feel like I'd be really good at that. I mean, let's see what else. I didn't know that they were hiring on a internship basis until they tweeted that out. And it's literally until they tweeted that out, and like 5 people immediately tagged me, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'll fill out for this just for funsies. And I'm 99% sure that I made like 4 separate spelling mistakes in my application. I didn't upload a cover letter or a resume because my only qualifications are I went to college for majoring in communications and video and audio engineering. So other than that, I don't have a lot to offer other than my stupid semi-Gen Z sense of humor, which I feel like would get a lot of traction. But yes. What else? Not a lot else. I don't have many qualifications really. I'm pretty boring, honestly. Like, right. I put on an act for the camera. I'm pretty boring in real life. I don't do much.
All right, so that's your pitch.
That's my pitch.
All right. AZ Sports Guy, Derek, Matt, anyone that is watching right now, the live version on YouTube or Facebook, you are the HR person that has just heard that pitch from Mason. Are you hiring Mason to be your social media intern? I just need a simple yes or no. You can drop them in the comments. I want to see.
Before you vote, I will not ask for pay. I will do it for free.
Well, you're an intern. You're not going to get that. That's a given. Anyway.
I don't want a full-time position. I won't ask for a full-time position in the future.
Oh, by the way, since this is an internship, you can make coffee, right?
Yeah, I can make coffee.
Okay,
I'm pretty good with my Starbucks orders. I've dated a few gals.
Okay. So
I speak fluent Starbucks. So
that's a qualification.
That's a qualification, I reckon.
Because you'd be surprised how many people don't know coffee.
I'm the Walmart Steve Dangle. I will say that. Yes, I'm the Walmart Steve Dangle. I'm passionate about the Blues. I scream a lot. That's about it.
The Blues don't really have their own Steve Dangle yet. I mean, you've been kind of auditioning for the role with your YouTube account. So, I mean, Blues, if you're thinking of, you want to create the next big social media star, in the vein of a Steve Dangle, you hire Mason for your St. Louis Blues social media intern position, and he is a raw piece of meat that you get to season, you get to cook, and you to enjoy the final product.
I am a piece of molding clay, and you can mold me to whatever you need me to be, and I will do it. I'm very easy that way. I'm very easy. I suck up to my bosses like nobody else. So lay it on me.
By the way, AZ Sports Guy says
you are Arizona Steve Dangle
because he's the only Arizona fan anybody knows, which is not true. We need to introduce you to Sporty with Corey and Richie, our old friends.
Corey and Richie, that's about it.
And
that's all I know. I didn't even hear about that. I heard AZ before them, honestly.
But you know what's funny is that they would probably tell you that they're the only Arizona fans they knew. So, you know, this is like, you know, this kind of reminds me of like that scenario, like where there's like, you know, 3 people alive on Earth after some sort of post-apocalyptic moment, and they're just discovering each other exist. It's going to be like that. It is going to be like that. They're just meeting in the middle of a desert somewhere, which, hey, it's Arizona. There's plenty of desert. Rodney Hale, if Mason was the GM of the Blues, we would win the Cup every year. So you wouldn't win the Cup, but you would win the Cub every year.
I would. Okay, it would go one or two ways. If I was the GM of the St. Louis Blues, we would either A, win the Cup every single year, or B, we would be absolutely terrible. And it's going to be one of those two, because I am so freaking risky with the moves that I make. Like, either it works out really well or really poorly. And because I am a very unlucky person in general, I feel like that would not go well. So
Derek suggests you would show them how much you have already created on your own, and that your potential would be greater if it was officially with the team.
Sometimes I fantasize. I keep in mind, I've only been making Blues content for literally less than a year.
True.
It has not been a full year since I started making Blues content. And actually, if you really want to like boil it down, the space between my first 2 videos and basically my main stream of content that has existed, it's more closer to 9 months. You know, I have not been doing this for very long. Blues content specifically. I've had channels before, but I mean, nothing like anywhere close to this, because I love what I'm doing right now. I'm loving making content. And obviously there's a lot for me to learn. You know, I think I got a lot of potential, but sometimes I lay in bed and I think about, like, if I had a full on production crew and I had a show, and I'm not trying to sound like an egomaniac, but I'm trying to say, if I had all of that, the content that I could make would be so fucking good that it would be so, like, I'm actually considering, I know I would technically be a traitor if I did this, but I'm want to go to the Utah Grizzlies and say, hey, you got any media internship bases available? Now,
why not?
The reason I'd be a traitor is because they're affiliated with the Colorado Avalanche, so wouldn't be wonderful.
It's two rungs down.
Of course, but still, I would technically be employed by the Colorado Avalanche and Stan Kroenke, which is don't want to be employed by that.
I adore the Fort Wayne Comets of the ECHL. And you know who they're affiliated with?
Who?
Vegas.
It's Vegas.
Yeah. By the way, Comets, ECHL Kelly Cup champions this year, by the way. Whoop, whoop.
Congrats!
Yay!
Congrats. I loved seeing that. That celebration, that was a good video. That was a good video.
It really was. And just like the Stanley Cup, the Comets also messed up the Kelly Cup a little bit as well.
Yeah, so okay, posing the question, would you hire me? Would you hire me on your would you want to see me run the Blues account and just like start beef and do stupid memes? Because I'm not kidding when I say I would be a dumber New Jersey Devils.
This is your one chance to say, yes, this would be a dream come true. I want Mason in this role. Or this is your one chance to say, shut the fuck up, Mason. Yes. This is your chance right now.
My chance. My chance.
If you're watching live. Rodney Hale thinks you would fit in perfectly. The only difference is Armstrong actually hits on his moves.
Some of his moves, not all, but some.
Yeah. AZ Sports Guy loves the Phoenix Roadrunners. They haven't existed since like 2008. I like their jerseys though from when they were in existence. They reminded me of in fact, I just saw those jerseys the other day. They reminded me of like the old Blues jerseys a little bit because they have the blue on the shoulder and then you have like all white. You look it up. AZ Sports Guy also says he would hire you without a second thought, buddy.
Woo! That's one.
Also, shut the fuck up, Mason. So
yes, deserved.
So I guess you can work for him, but then you'd have to be like wear tape over your mouth.
I don't like Instagram. I don't like using Instagram. Instagram's stupid.
We technically have an Instagram, but we don't use it because I hate Instagram.
Yes. Well, technically, that's my job to run it, and I don't think I've done anything to it.
And I haven't pushed you on it because I feel your pain. Derek, honestly, Mason, I would rather you make like banger shirts for us. Like, forget Instagram. Just focus on.
I'm actually designing some merch. I'll run it up for you later this week. But I'm designing a little bit. I think it'd be cool.
Because I want to have a chubby but effective shirt. We need to have a chubby but effective shirt.
Chubby but effective with your caricature in the middle.
Sure. Yeah. And then maybe like put it
and
in,
you and me.
Yeah, that's a Pat Maroon
Both
quote.
of us.
So
yeah, not Wags. Wags is skinny as a rail. Me and Tom
God.
are not.
Oh, and in fact, he's probably going to even lose even more weight with his current ordeal. Poor guy.
Oh, sheesh, poor guy. By the way, prayers up for Wags. Wags, if you're listening, hope you're feeling better. We love you, buddy.
Hey, man. I hope you're doing okay. It's he was not in a good way before we started this show. Derek says yes, the Blues need much more media. So I guess it's a vote for you, Mason. He would hire you. Rodney Hale says yes, only because the Blues and Cardinals Instagram accounts don't post shit.
I mean, that's 3.
And you know what? That tradition would continue because
that tradition would continue. I would have the Blues count and then proceed to do nothing with it.
Yes. By the way, Mason asked, should I pretend to be a Blues fan under a false identity? No.
That would be funny as hell, though.
Because we've got enough fake fans.
We have enough fake fans. That's true.
Yes, we do.
There was a big... there was a lot of bandwagoners that came on after 2019 because we're Blues fans. We're like, hey, welcome to the club. I didn't know you guys existed. Hey, where haven't I heard you? It's like, oh, we've been following the team. We just haven't gotten involved in the circles.
Right.
But now with the championship, I was like, oh, okay. And then they'd leave, and then we'd see Tampa Bay Stanley Cup champions 2020 in their bio this year. So it's like,
I had season tickets for the St. Louis Blues during the really shitty Bill Laurie years of the post mid 2000s lockout. The Enterprise Center, or back then it was a Scottrade, I think, or Savis, one of the two, half empty every night. No one wanted to go. The tickets that I had were, me and my dad had, were in the last row of the upper deck, and we got them because they ended up being like $4 a seat for like the entire season. And by the way,
go ahead.
By the way, if you went to those games in this era, and the real ones know what I'm talking about. The arena would be half empty. Like the lower bowl would be like maybe like a third to like 40% full max. And then the upper deck, a lot of it would be probably about half full. The top 2 rows in the upper deck, full every single night because of those cheap ass season tickets. This was like for broke ass people like me growing up, this was like our chance. This was our chance to finally have season tickets to the St. Louis Blues because we can finally fucking afford them. So what that we have to watch, some of the worst Blues hockey since the 70s.
Of course,
it's still Blues hockey. Damn it.
Of course, so. like I was saying, this is how I'm a real Blues fan, is because when I started, when I was first trying, actually I got ratioed today because I said Blues tweeted out what made you become a Blues fan, and I was like, because little me had an easier time drawing that logo in chalk, and people were like, that's such a hard logo to draw. It's like I didn't say it looked good. I just said it was the easiest for me to kind of look like it was semi-okay for me, right? But
it's a fun logo.
When I was younger and getting into hockey, we would paint that on the cul-de-sac, obviously, because we wanted it to be realistic. I'd always be the Blues. I don't know why, probably just because it was an easy logo to draw. That's what I would do, and I would always be the Blues. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should learn about this team a little bit. This is when I was like 10 years old or something like that. I was like, maybe I should learn a little more about this team, and then. I should learn a little more. And then I realized that they sucked their entire existence. And I'm like, I'll still be a Blues fan. That's Definitely. How you know I'm a real Blues. I could have jumped ship there. And I didn't. I looked it up and I'm like, we don't have a single champion. We're like, 40 years old? How do we not have a championship? And then I'm like looking like, we haven't gone past the first round in freaking forever. We're always in the playoffs and never win. I'll still cheer for them. That's how you know I'm a real fan.
Yeah, trust me, being in St. Louis, growing up in St. Louis, there were so many times where it's like, why do I even fucking bother follow this team? I mean, what is hockey? Fuck this game. Like,
what? Just because they're in my city, I have to cheer for them?
Like case in point, does it blow your guys' minds that the Blues didn't win the Cup with the 1996 roster? Yes! It blows my mind that when Gretzky had it, lost it, that was like the first time I ever cried over
86 is the other one. 86 was the other. I'm shocked that we didn't win the Cup with the 86 roster.
Wickenheiser. But yeah, no, I stuck with the Blues thick and thin. A lot of my friends did not, though. One reason I started hockey podcasting a couple years ago is because I had like no other like were just Cardinals fans or they just didn't like hockey at all. So Arizona sports guy, we have enough fake fans. Bro, Arizona and St. Louis are so freaking similar.
Yeah. Why do you think we tolerate you so much? Because we know.
And also, Rodney points out that a lot of the fake Blues fans are Lightning fans right now because we follow our own. AZ Sports Guy, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked to how I keep cheering for Arizona. I
ask him that all the time.
Depression. I'm not ditching them now, dude. I understand where you're coming from because being a Coyotes fan is hard. Depression and Blues hockey go hand in hand. Seriously, it is sometimes miserable being a Blues fan. It is but it's the rare moments when they shine that make it worth it.
Of course. Well, that Stanley Cup parade makes the next 50 years of misery worth it, honestly. If the Blues are miserable for the next 50 years, that cup run is like, okay, that'll carry me for 50 years. Honestly, it would carry me for 50 years of just heartbreaking torment. I would still be a fan of this team, specifically because of 2019. That's why I'm so thankful that run happened. That is the single reason why, but a lot of people tell me he's like, they say, oh, you must be a fake fan because you didn't start making videos until literally the offseason after they won the cup. And I'm like, are you new here?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize there was a market for this until I saw some crazy Leafs fans screaming about the loss to a Zamboni driver. I didn't realize there was a market for this.
By the way, speaking of, since we got Arizona sports guy here, and we're just kind of bullshitting now.
Yes.
I don't know if you follow, but I know a lot of Blues fans have followed the courtroom saga between Stan Kroenke and the city of St. Louis over the Rams moving. I kind of adopted the Kansas City Chiefs recently as my NFL team just because they're in state. And I like Pat Mahomes legitimately. He's an easy guy to root for, and he's a salt of the earth guy. He's a fantastic quarterback. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to adopt the Chiefs. Well, it was confirmed this week that there was a very small group of NFL owners that were like, pulling some shit behind the scenes to get the Rams to move to LA, like, to the point where they might, lose a court case and had to fork over $1 billion over it. One of those owners was a Kansas City Chiefs owner because he wanted to get the St. Louis market after the Rams moved, which is kind of shifty to me. So AZ Sports Guy, you have an opportunity here. Because besides I think it was the Chargers voted against the Rams moving because they wanted to go with the other stadium option. But it was also came out that the other team that voted against the Rams moving out of St. Louis was the Arizona Cardinals. The Bidwells owned the Cardinals back when they were in St. Louis. They were justified in moving out of St. Louis. They got kind of a stiff deal from the city of St. Louis over the stadium and whatnot. Long story, but Arizona sports guy, I'm kind of questioning whether I should stick with the Chiefs anymore. And I'm looking at that Arizona Cardinals no vote on the Rams moving. AZ sports guy, why should I be an Arizona Cardinals fan?
We're jumping ship on there. I jumped ship on the Seahawks. I jumped ship on them. I'm no longer a Seahawks fan. I will happily claim this makes me a fake Chiefs fan. And that's fine. You know what? It's better to admit it now than, fake it for years and then drop them later. By the way, Rodney Hale says, I'm not even an Arizona Cardinals fan, but their team is good right now, so it would be a good move. I'm not one for front running, so, it wouldn't be. The primary reason would be that the Bidwells showed St. Louis is solid during the whole Rams ordeal. I also like Larry Fitzgerald. Is he still playing, or is he? Did he fish? He's still playing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Kyler Murray, I think, is a great quarterback. Yeah. So, by the way, here's the verdict. Dude, they've killed me so much that I can't care about them unless I'm sitting down watching the game. So, you know what? Don't be a Cardinals fan. He straight up said, do not do it.
We were talking about the depression of being a Blues fan. You have no fucking idea how hard it was being a Rams fan for all 20 years in St. Louis. You have no fucking idea. Your team actually wins once in a while. Okay, so I am prepared to suffer at least a little bit being a Cardinals fan, because Lord knows I've had a lifetime's worth of suffering under Stan Kroenke's Rams in St. Louis.
I think if I were to be a football fan, I'd be a fan of the college team here, because this city is pumped for their college teams, because it's either BYU to the south or it's U of U to the north, honestly, and that's about it.
I'm BYU's a solid program.
I'm on the U of U train, honestly, but I mean, I like, if they lose, I don't care that much if I were to get into football. But I'm officially an NFL football fan free agent. So if you can come up with a team that is not the San Francisco 49ers, I will cheer for them. I will. Like, just give me your best proposals, and I will cheer for that team.
AZ Sports Guy says, at least we had the greatest show on turf. Warner couldn't win us a Super Bowl, but he did get you to a Super Bowl, game, though. I mean, he got you to the precipice, at least. And he had really good years for Arizona, so I wouldn't diminish what Kurt did for Arizona. Rodney says, that's not true. St. Louis had the greatest team on turf for 3 years, won a Super Bowl, and got cheated out of 2.
I wouldn't know.
But no, there's all the years that surround it. I mean, I can tell you stories of Tony Banks in the late 90s and his stupid pit bull, but I'm not going to do that. So anyway,
like I said, offers open. I'm a football fan free agent. I'll sign for anybody.
If you're here for Toasted Tavern, and we're filling in for Toasted Tavern tonight because Wags is day to day, there is your other sports content for you. We have fulfilled that. We have fulfilled that
kind of shit.
That we tried. Okay, we tried. Hopefully Wags will be better, and hopefully Scott will be available again. I know he's been on vacation for the All-Star break. Of course, he works for the St. Louis Cardinals as an usher, and he's getting a nice break this week because the Cardinals are not in action because of the All-Star break. So we're happy to fill in with some exciting Blues talk, and we'll be back with you in the weeks to come, multiple times, I'm sure, because Mason, my body is ready for the next 2 weeks of absolute frenzy.
Mine's not. My body might be ready, but my mind is not.
Hey, you said you're working out again, so
It's true. I am working out again. I'm proud of myself. I got muscles. Oh, not really. It just droops down.
Look at those 2-inch pythons.
Yeah, look at those. Look at those thimbles on my arms.
All right, I think we have dragged this show long enough.
An hour 40. How do we do this?
I don't know. Because I guess we're just chatty and we like Blues hockey.
It's my fault. I know it's my fault, but I'm just like,
this is like the rare episode. I think I'll talk to you this episode. I think
I know you probably did.
Yeah, I was going there for a while. So, but you know what? Exciting times call for exciting content, right?
I just derail us so fucking easily.
No, we derail ourselves pretty easy. I'm good at that. Before you go, did you hear about the Landeskog contract? What is there something that's broken that
I'm checking Twitter.
Yeah,
I got notifications. Oh no.
Go check for that. By the way, AZ Sports Guy says it's because we went long because of him. So, always trying to take credit. Yeah, check on that. I didn't hear anything about a Landeskog deal. But
hashtag Landeskog for the Lewis trending.
Yes, we got it trending. I think I did it. I think I had tweeted it out once. Let's see here. No, Landeskog doesn't have a contract. I'm
not seeing anything.
I'm not seeing anything either. What are you? Oh, yeah. Well, no, Rodney's just saying he's far apart with this contract with the Avs. Yeah, we covered that. Yeah, we were joking that some other Avs podcasters that we know were telling us that, he's going to sign. It's imminent. It's he's not going to make it to free agency.
I am inevitable.
So, by the way, I retweeted that from Peter Ball from The Athletic, and I actually tagged those podcasts and says, hey, I thought he was close. Haven't heard a single peep.
Not a peep.
That was
a little bit of shade, Tom.
Into us.
Talk about showing some shade. Holy crap, Tom.
But you know what? Apparently it was so shady they couldn't be seen or heard from. So, oh well.
I mean, it's good for us because we can poke fun at him the same way they poked fun at us for Petro.
And then the Avs guys have been poking fun at us because they swept us in the playoffs. But
yeah, that's fair. That's
Which
fair.
is
It's
fair.
only payback. It's only fair.
Which is fair. It's deserved. We'll just take their star. It's fine. No big deal. No big deal.
No, that's fine. We'll take
All right.
Arenado. We'll take him.
All right. So, like I said, we will be back sometime next week, probably Monday or Tuesday, to do a pre-expansion draft, like mock draft. Hopefully, Wags is better by then. Keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And also, by the way, this is kind of an exciting episode, and I kind of forgot about Aaron Wallace, whose grandfather just passed away. He was a diehard Blues fan ever since the late 70s. He does everything with his voice, and he's using everyone to help out the family and his football team together. So you got to love those male role models. I had an uncle that was kind of similar situation as Aaron's grandfather. So if you're the praying type, or if you're just a empathetic person, keep Aaron Wallace's grandfather and his family in your thoughts and prayers, for sure. So on that note, we're going to sign off. I'm Tom Franklin. This is Mason next to me here. And remember, always play to the whistle.
For new episodes, merchandise, and behind-the-scenes content, be sure to visit ToastedSTL.com or follow us on Twitter at ToastedSt. I'm the voice of the Blues, Tom Calhoun. Let's get toasted!